Awesome. All right. One second. Hey. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our Facebook showcase. We are super excited to have Rutgers University here. We have Michelle from Rutgers University. She is the Assistant Director of Graduate and International Admissions at Rutgers University. So over to you, Michelle, and thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Michelle Chobor. As mentioned, I am the Assistant Director for Graduate and International Admissions at the Rutgers Newark campus, and we'll talk a little bit in this presentation about the three different Rutgers campuses that we have. But I want to just clarify and specify that even though my title is technically graduate admissions, this presentation is really going to focus on our undergraduate studies and programs. So anybody looking to seek a bachelor's degree, and then I will be happy to share at the end of the presentation the monthly link for our graduate student sessions, anybody seeking a master's degree or a PhD level degree. But I'm very excited to be here. I want to thank Education USA Nigeria for having me. I have been fortunate enough to work with Education USA for the past 5 years of my career, so I'm very excited for the opportunity to be back and speaking with you all. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and officially get started. So again, good afternoon to you all, and thank you so much for being here with us. So a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Rutgers University system and break down our three campuses. And then we're really going to focus today's presentation on Rutgers University Newark, so who we are as the Newark specific campus. We're going to talk about the value of a Rutgers University Newark education, and then of course how to start your journey as a Rutgers University Newark student. And I'll highlight some very important things throughout the application process. All right, so without further ado, Rutgers, the State University of New Jersey. So a lot of you may be familiar with a few of the big state systems that are in the United States. So Rutgers is the State University of the state of New Jersey. We do have three different campuses. So a lot of you, when you hear Rutgers being talked about maybe with your Education USA advisor or with colleagues or peers, you may be hearing about the New Brunswick campus. That is the largest campus in our system. It is in the center of the state of New Jersey. And then there are also two smaller campuses. We have Rutgers Newark, which is who I represent. We are your mid-sized campus and the most northern campus. So as you can see on the map that's on your screen, Newark is that northernmost location, and we are the closest to New York City, which you will hear me reference quite a few times throughout the presentation, as I think it's so important to highlight our proximity to that major market that is New York City. And then we also have our Camden campus, which you can see is our southernmost location. That is located right on the border of Philadelphia, which is the fifth largest city in the United States. So we do have our three campuses, but again, today we are really going to focus on the Newark campus, that northernmost campus. And then it is important to, of course, recognize that we do have some off-campus and online programs throughout the state of New Jersey. But again, the focus of today's presentation is going to be on Newark. All right, so moving on to discuss Rutgers University Newark and just give a very brief overview of our campus. We are ranked very, very high when it comes to diversity. We are an urban public research university, and our slogan is we're not just in Newark, but we are of Newark. So that means we are very proud of our roots. We are very proud of our location. We're very proud to provide the opportunities that we do here in Newark when it comes to diversity, when it comes to inclusion, when it comes to making anybody feel welcome at our campus. And again, as you can see, for over 20 years, we have been ranked the most diverse national university in the United States. And we do have over 100 nations represented on our campus. So we love to highlight when we do these sessions with Education USA or we're speaking with our international prospective students that everybody is welcome at Rutgers Newark. We are happy to have you, and we will absolutely ensure that you feel at home on our campus. So another slide here is just going to give you a brief overview. Like I mentioned a few slides back, we are your mid-sized campus of Rutgers University. So while New Brunswick is the largest, we are your mid-sized campus. So we are going to give you the best of both worlds. We're going to give you that quality Rutgers education, but you're going to have smaller class sizes where your professors will really get to know you, your strengths, your talents, and really get to help you showcase yourself as a student. So our campus overview, we were founded in 1908. We joined the Rutgers system in 1946. We do have a 38-acre urban campus. We are located in the city. We are in the largest city in the state of New Jersey. And we have about 35 buildings total on our campus, and we are expanding. We have about 11,000 total students at the Rutgers University Newark campus, with about 7,500 of those students making up our undergraduate population. So those students who are seeking bachelor's degrees. We do also have a graduate level education program at Rutgers Newark, and our graduate population makes up about 3,500 students in our total population. As I mentioned, we are that close-knit campus, so we're going to be able to provide you with that personalized attention, those small class sizes, all while getting the same quality level Rutgers education that you would find down in New Brunswick or at our Camden campus. Our student to faculty ratio is 13:1, which means, again, your professors are going to know you by name. You are not just going to be a number. You are not just going to be a student in their class. They are going to know you, your strengths, your weaknesses, how they can best help you thrive and be successful, not only while you're on our campus, but for whatever comes next. So we are, again, very, very excited about the opportunities and the potential that we have in Newark and at the Rutgers Newark campus. So I just want to take a brief moment to highlight our academics. I'm not going to take up too much time as we do have a lot of different programs and majors, and I would be happy to discuss any of them at the end of the presentation today. But just to give a breakdown of what the Rutgers Newark campus looks like, we have 6 different schools, which comprise Rutgers University Newark, and I'm going to break them down a little bit for you to help you better understand. So within the Rutgers University Newark system, we have 6 different schools, which is where different majors and programs of interest are held. So we have our Newark School of Arts and Sciences, which is our biggest area and our biggest school that we have on our campus. And this is going to house primarily all of our liberal arts programs. So your biologies, your psychologies, chemistry, English, any liberal arts style program that you're looking for is going to be housed under that School of Arts and Sciences. We then have our Rutgers Business School, which is going to be specific to business administration, finance, supply chain management, accounting, things of that nature are going to be found in our business school. We then have our School of Criminal Justice, which has majors in justice studies as well as criminal justice. Our School of Public Affairs and Administration, which is home to our bachelor's degree in nonprofit administration. And then we also have our 2 specialty area schools, which is our Graduate School Newark, which is primarily who I represent outside of the Rutgers system. I primarily work with the Graduate School Newark, but I am familiar with all of these schools on our undergraduate levels as well. And then we also do have the Rutgers Law School, which is housed at the Newark campus. So again, just to break down some of those major programs of study, and this is nicely broken down for you too, very similar to what I presented on the previous slide, what majors are housed under which school. So like I mentioned, under that Rutgers Business School, you'll have majors in accounting, finance, leadership and management, supply chain management, marketing, management information systems. Under our School of Criminal Justice, like I mentioned, criminal justice and justice studies. Our School of Public Affairs and Administration, our major in public and nonprofit administration. And then, like I mentioned, our Newark College of Arts and Sciences is our biggest and largest school at the Newark campus, which is going to host the majority of those liberal arts programs. So as you can see, there are quite a few, so I'm not going to read all of them, but I will leave this slide up just for a few moments for anybody who may want to take a picture of it or just browse through those programs. Again, I can always go back to this at the end of the presentation, but again, your liberal arts programs are going to be found under the Newark College of Arts and Sciences. And this is just a continuation, because like I said, it's our largest school, largest programs. You'll see those programs, like I mentioned before, psychology, social work, anthropology, biology, chemistry, a plethora of major programs of study for you to choose from. Okay, and I just want to briefly highlight this. We have what we also call our University College Newark. This is housed under the College of Arts and Sciences as well. University College is just more for our adult learner population. So maybe you're, in your late 20s and you're now thinking about going back to school. This is going to be a more adult learner population under our University College Newark. So there's only a few different programs, but it's more flexible learning to those students who work full time here in the US already and in New Jersey and are looking to go back to school. Okay. And then I just want to highlight very, very briefly that we do have some pre-professional programs as well. So I know we have a lot of students who are coming over to us and they're thinking, what about pre-law, pre-med, pre-health, pre-engineering? Can I do all of those at Rutgers University Newark? You absolutely can. So our pre-professional programs that we offer are pre-engineering, pre-law, pre-med, pre-dental, and pre-pharmacy. And then we also have some accelerated programs. So if you're maybe thinking of doing your bachelor's degree and then rolling right into a master's degree, we do have those options in those accelerated programs as well. So we have one in business administration, criminal justice, economics, peace and conflict studies, accounting, public administration, and public health. So I do just want to highlight those options as well, as they are there for you. Okay, so then a few more things. Now that we've moved out of academics, I want to talk very quickly about two specialty programs that we have at Rutgers University Newark. We do have our Honors College, which is going to count as a second concentration. So it is an invitation-only program. When we review your application, which we'll go over in the next few slides, if we feel that your GPA is very competitive, it's very strong, you will be invited to apply to our Honors College. You may apply after your first year if you're not initially selected, and that is something you can discuss with your advisor if you're interested in being considered for the Honors College and you weren't invited to apply during your first year of study. We also have what we call our Honors Living and Learning Community. While it is primarily for our New Jersey residents, it is something that we can, of course, consider everybody for, and it is going to provide college access and success, and it's going to require a minor in social justice to be part of the Honors Living and Learning Community. Again, we are very, very proud of our roots to be rooted in Newark, which is such a large city in the state of New Jersey. So our Honors Living and Learning Community is exactly what it sounds like. You are living in the residence halls, you are learning alongside others who share a passion for social justice and for wanting to make their community better. Okay, so I think this is one of the most important parts of today's presentation is talking about student life. We know that you are making a huge decision by considering coming to the United States for your educational studies post, high school. And it's a very, very big commitment. You want to feel that you're going to be included. You want to feel that you're going to enjoy your time away from home, that you're going to have a community that you're coming to that's going to understand you and make you feel accepted. We are so proud to offer over 150 plus student organizations and clubs. There is truly something for everybody. These clubs are not just academic clubs, they are cultural clubs, they are religious and faith-based clubs, they are service-based clubs, they are different councils. It's really a way to get involved within your community. We have international students who have started their own clubs. If there's something that you don't see, if you're feeling maybe I don't fit in with any of these clubs that are already pre-existing, you can absolutely start your own club that's going to be specific to you, your culture, anything that you would want to share with others in the community. It is possible. But we do want to let you know that, of course, we do have, all of these preset clubs and organizations to make everybody feel included as soon as they arrive to campus. And going back to kind of piggyback off of student life, we have special and annual events, again, just to make everybody feel welcome and included in not just the Rutgers community, but in the Newark community as well. We start out every single academic year with what we call weeks of welcome, which is where we just do special events every single day at the start of the semester to get everybody ready and excited for a new school year, to welcome those who are just joining us for the first time as first-year students. And that rolls into what we call convocation, which is a gathering of the entire campus, to highlight and welcome everybody into the community for another successful academic year. We do also have student organization showcases throughout the year. It is not just during the first week of class. So for example, say you arrive and you're like, I'm not quite ready to join a student club or organization. I want to take my time, get myself settled. We'll have student organization showcases throughout the year so that whenever you are ready, you can take a walk around, you can look at all the different clubs and organizations, get more information, and join whenever you feel that it's going to be best for you. We also offer this as a resource fair. So maybe you're wondering about the different services that we offer here at Rutgers Newark. Who's my advisor? Can I meet with the International Student Office? Can they help me with CPT, OPT opportunities? That will all be handled during our resources fair. Again, happens a few times throughout the year where you can meet different members of our campus who will help you along the way throughout your entire Rutgers journey. Halsey Fest, that is something that is a Newark community event. So the whole city of Newark participates in what we call Halsey Fest. There's a lot of vendors, there's a lot of local businesses who promote their goods and services throughout the community for students to learn about and attend. And then a few different events on our campus. We have a Spirit Week, we have Raider Madness, which is a big school pride event. You can see the picture on the bottom with our Raider, that's our mascot, in the middle of the crowd of everybody at one of the athletic events. And then Winterfest, De-Stress Fest, World Fair, those are just different opportunities for you throughout the year. Winterfest will be very similar to our Halsey Fest, where it'll be different events kind of going on throughout the winter at Rutgers Newark, where we can learn about different cultures and different things. So a lot to get involved in, a lot to think about, and just knowing that everybody is going to be feeling inclusive and part of our community, both on Rutgers Newark campus and in the city of Newark itself. Okay, and then a few more things before we end on student life. Just want to quickly touch on the fact that we do have sports and athletics. The Rutgers University Newark campus specifically is what we call Division III here in the US and in New Jersey. And we do have Division III sports in basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, cross country, volleyball, indoor track and field, and outdoor track and field. So it is possible to join a sports team. And then we also have a variety of different student support services, such as our Pantry Plus. This is for students who may be struggling with food insecurity. We have a pantry that delivers fresh produce and fresh foods to our campus for our students, again, who may be struggling with food insecurity, or they may be having some issues monetarily where they might need some extra support. We are providing that support for our students throughout the academic year. We also do have a counseling center, student health services, and a nutrition counseling and dietitian services right on our campus. And these are all free to you with your tuition. So there's no additional cost to utilize any of these services once you are accepted and enrolled at Rutgers Newark as a student. Okay. So I want to now touch on living on campus. I know this is a big question. We get it a lot when we do these webinars with Education USA. Is as an international student, is there somewhere for me to live, or do I have to seek my own housing? The good news is that we have plenty of residence halls right on our campus, and they are open to all of our international students, just as they are with our domestic students who live in New Jersey and the surrounding areas. So you will absolutely be able to apply to live on campus if you so choose. It is not a requirement, however. We do have international students who have seeked out their own housing in the immediate area. But again, totally your choice. But the main thing to know is that if you want to live on campus and get that traditional residence hall experience, it is an option for you. Traditionally, all of our first year students reside in what we call Woodward Hall, which is your traditional dormitory style rooms where you will have a roommate and then a connecting suite with two other students on the other side with a shared bathroom. And then we do have additional housing opportunities as well, such as University Square, Ruth Bader Ginsburg Hall, which is reserved for our graduate students, and a few other apartment options. But you do absolutely have the opportunity to live on campus if you would like. And I would be happy to provide additional information about that to anybody who's interested in learning a little bit more about our residence halls. Okay, so now we have reached the very important part of today's presentation is how to apply. So everybody on this presentation would most likely be considered a first-year student. First-year students have to apply by December 1st to be considered for admission. November 1st is our early action deadline. Everything after December 1st is going to be what we call rolling admission. So you are able to apply into the following year, but just make note that the earlier you apply, the earlier you will receive a decision from us. Very important to note here, Rutgers University Newark is what we call test blind, which means that there is no SAT or ACT required. So you do not need to take any type of standardized testing to be considered for admission to Rutgers University Newark. You sending your scores is not going to aid in any type of scholarship consideration. We are just test blind in general. So that's just to keep everything fair and equitable in our admissions process. We do not require those tests from any student who is applying to us, whether you be international or domestic. Another thing to keep in mind here, I don't believe there's a slide on it, so I like mentioning it here. We do have an English proficiency exam requirement. From anybody who is coming directly from Nigeria, that is more than likely going to be waived. As we understand, most of your schools that you're coming from are English-speaking schools, and we will likely not require the GRE, not the GRE, we will most likely not require the IELTS or the TOEFL or Duolingo, any type of English proficiency exam. You can always double check with us if you do choose to apply, if it would be needed, and we can look up your specific high school. But more than likely, like I said, it is not going to be a requirement for anybody coming from Nigeria. Okay. So both the undergraduate application as well as the graduate application can be found at admissions.rutgers.edu/apply. We are also on the Common App. So if anybody is applying via Common App, or if we are applying just via our standard Rutgers application, it is going to be the same website no matter what level student you are. So again, admissions.rutgers.edu/apply, and I can share this information again on the next slide. Okay. So when you do, if you do choose to consider Rutgers University Newark as one of your options for furthering your education, this is what your initial application portal is going to look like. So when you visit that website that we just discussed, which was again, admissions.rutgers.edu/apply, this is the page that you're going to be greeted with. Very important, if you are a new applicant, you're going to create a community ID. Your community ID is just going to be your email address. We just call it a community ID because we want to, again, make everybody feel included right from the start. So that community ID is going to be your email address, and it would be how you log into your application portal. Okay, and then the application process. Again, for any of our first year applicants, which may be the majority of people today on our webinar and our presentation, you will be required to submit a few different things. First and foremost, you're going to be submitting what we call your self-reported academic record. This is referred to as an SRAR in the Rutgers community, but your self-reported academic record is where you're going to enter all of your classes that you've taken during your high school studies. All of those are going to be added in and self-reported by you because we realize most of you won't have an official transcript at the time in which you are applying. So this gives us an idea of everything that you have done up until the semester before your graduation. So you'll enter all of your classes under your SRAR. that self-reported academic record for us to review. On the first year and undergraduate side of things, we do not require letters of recommendation. So you do not have to worry about submitting any letters of recommendation to us, but you will have to submit a college level essay. In this college essay, I like mentioning it on this slide because this is where we talk about the application process. It is going to be a 650-word essay. And what we really want you to focus on when writing your college essay is telling your story. We want to hear about you. We want to hear your personal story. We want to hear why you think Rutgers is going to be the best fit for you. We want to hear how you're going to excel in the degree or the program of study that you're thinking about. So those are the main things to keep in mind when writing that essay, is keeping it to 650 words and then making it personal to you, telling your story. That is the biggest piece of advice that I can give to anybody considering Rutgers University Newark, is making sure you're telling your story and you're painting your picture. Make it all about you so that we know who you are. We're getting to learn a little bit more about you before we would be considering you to join our community. So that's very important to note. Those are really going to be the two biggest things that we require, is that self-reported academic record and your essay. Once you do graduate, and if you do choose to enroll with us at Rutgers University Newark, we will then require your official transcript sent to us from your previous institution. And then again, after you're admitted, you can accept your offer of admission. You would have to pay an $150 enrollment fee to secure your seat. And then you would sign up for your advisement and registration date, which is happening now. We're in that process currently. We've been very busy with new student orientations and registrations. And for our international students, there is that option to complete it online. As we know, a lot of you are not going to be able to come over to the United States to do orientation prior to starting class. So we do have accommodations built in for our international students to complete that advising and registration online, live with an advisor. Okay, so I want to go over a little bit about costs and aid, because I know it's very big questions that we receive regarding scholarships, regarding any type of aid that you receive. Very important to know, all students, whether you are international or domestic, all of our students are considered for merit-based scholarships. The most important thing to keep in mind when being considered for a merit-based scholarship is you must submit your application by our priority deadline. So for fall 2026, that priority deadline is November 1st. So anybody who's looking to apply to us for next year, or even for 2027, it has to be by November 1st of the year prior to when you would be looking to start classes. That is very, very important. We get a lot of questions when packages come out, when offers go out. Was I considered for any merit-based scholarships? And a lot of times students did not apply by that deadline. So we unfortunately are not able to consider you if you apply after that November 1st date. So very important to keep in mind that we will only be able to consider you if you apply by that priority deadline. Other than that, I would absolutely consider and recommend connecting with our Office of International Students and Scholars for assistance with any type of grants or loans that they may be able to assist you with taking from your home country to cover the additional costs and aid of attending Rutgers Newark. Okay. And like we mentioned before, just making sure you're applying by that priority deadline. There's another slide on it because we just want to reiterate how important that is. This slide does say December 1st, but as I mentioned before, I would absolutely recommend November 1st because that is the early action deadline. And making everything, having everything in by that date is going to give you a better chance of being considered. So November 1st, ignore this December 1st, use November 1st as your date to have everything submitted by. Okay. So that is, we've reached the end of the formal part of today's presentation. I tried to keep it to about a half an hour, just to be cautious of everybody's time. I know it's late afternoon for everybody who's attending today. So I wanted to try to keep my portion to about 30 minutes, so that we can leave plenty of time for questions, that I can answer live for everybody today. So I want to thank everybody for attending this afternoon. We really appreciate it. I hope you learned a little bit about Rutgers University Newark. I know it was a lot of information, so we are happy to take any questions that everybody has. And then I will leave this slide up while I go over any of those questions, because this is just going to be your next steps for contact information, how to follow us, and how to get in touch with us. So very briefly, before we jump into those questions, I would love to encourage everybody to take a virtual tour of our campus. That link is noted at the top of your screen now, admissions.rutgers.edu/visit/Newark. That is going to give you the opportunity to kind of click around and see what our campus looks like. And then I did want to leave our email, our phone number, our chat feature up on here because this is going to be the easiest way to get in touch with a counselor from our office. And then I put our social media links on the other side, so that you can really see what's going on. See what's going on campus. We're coming up on graduation season, so seeing kind of that finished journey, what that would look like if you do choose to enroll with us at Rutgers Newark or consider us. So at this point, I'm going to turn it back over to our advisor, and then we can jump into any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle, for a very detailed presentation about Rutgers Newark. So this is time now for students to drop in their questions. I actually have a number of questions of my own, but giving you guys time to type those questions in. So I'm just curious, when you were talking about some of your student life special annual events, the weeks of
Yeah.
welcome, resources fair,
Yeah.
Halsey Fest, what is your own personal favorite tradition or annual event at
Yeah.
Rutgers?
Yeah, no, great question. So, a little bit more background on me. I am coming up on 1 year being with Rutgers Newark. Prior to this, I was with another large institution in Pennsylvania. So I am pretty brand new to the Rutgers system as well, and I have absolutely loved my time here so far. I did attend Halsey Fest, which is that we like to, again, promote our in and of Newark. So we're not just a Rutgers Newark student, but you're part of the Newark community. And that event really does a great job at highlighting just that. It's highlighting all the small businesses, all of the local businesses that you can go to as you're a student here. There's a lot of coffee shops and restaurants that have specials and deals during that week, where it's really immersing you into the community, and then allowing you the opportunity to see, some of these people from these businesses in action, promoting their goods, promoting their services. And then you remember, you're like, wait, I tried that at Halsey Fest. I want to go back there, like for dinner one night or for lunch one day, or meet here for a cup of coffee with some of my colleagues to study. So I think Halsey Fest is a really, really great event. It's very lively, it's fun. There's food, there's music, and it's really immersing you into that culture that we have here at Rutgers Newark.
So during the course of your presentation, you mentioned not requiring recommendation
Yep,
letters, and SAT, ACT is
yep,
also not required.
yep.
You talked a little bit about the essay, so I'm just wondering, like, could you just elaborate a bit more about what are some of the most important factors you consider when evaluating applications,
Yeah.
and what do you see or what do you look out for in an application that gets the students invited to, let's say, participate in the honors college?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, like I mentioned in like earlier in the presentation over those application process slides, is the biggest thing that we're looking for is that self-reported academic record. We reviewed this year over 35,000 first-year applications. So we do have a lot of applications that we go through, which is the reasoning for not requiring the letters of recommendation, is because we're mainly looking for your academic side, which is going to be that those self-reported grades that you submit to us. And then we're really looking at that essay because we really want to know who you are. We want you to paint that picture for us. We want you to share your story with us. And that's what's really going to get you invited to apply to things such as honors college, or for us to extend an offer of admission, is your academics combined with your personal story and why we think you're going to be a great fit for our community.
So talking about self-reported grades, like
Yeah.
how do you view AP, IB,
Mhm.
dual enrollment
Yep.
credits? How do you
Yep.
view in the admissions process?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a matrix that we go off of that is broken down mainly by country. We have different countries grading scales in our matrix that we use. So we do take IB courses into consideration. We do take AP honors into consideration. And traditionally what we'll do is whatever that grade is coming up as on your self-reported academic record, say it's a letter grade of a B. If it's an IB course, we'll consider it an A. Like we'll bump it up one letter grade when
Okay.
we're reviewing, but we will consider all of those, yes.
All right. So there's a question in the chat box. I'm not sure how I can answer that question, but Oyi Brakemi is asking, I have a background
Mhm.
in agricultural economics. I can't seem to find any master's program that match with my background.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
so I mean, I can start that question. Maybe I can take that question as an advisor, and maybe you can talk a little bit more about maybe
Yeah.
what other master's programs you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a master's is a time for you to, I mean, there are two approaches. You can continue to dig deeper into what you've already studied, or it's time for you to maybe take or to branch out and study something else. The good thing about the US is that we have a very flexible academic system where you can have a bachelor's in one thing and go do something else in
Yep.
your master's. So this might be a good time for you to pivot and think about what else you're interested in with your career experience, work experience. Maybe you've developed new interests that you want to explore.
Mhm.
That could be something you might want to go do in your for your master's. But I don't know, Michelle, do you have anything sort of close to agriculture or economics, or maybe something that Oyin could think about exploring at
Yeah,
Rutgers?
absolutely. Yeah, so that was I really liked what you said there because I'm a student who did exactly that. I had a bachelor's degree in a very different field than what I got my master's degree in. I ended up pivoting exactly like you mentioned to the higher education space and doing what I'm doing now. But I had initially got my bachelor's degree in a health sciences area. It was in, speech language pathology. And I ended up in higher education. I pivoted because I had worked in the Office of Admissions as a student worker. I loved my time there, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should maybe I should pivot. So that's absolutely great advice. It's something, like I said, I've personally done as well. What I will do is because I know you're going to share the list of names with me of those who attended. What I can do for you is I can connect you with our Rutgers Business School. As although my title does have graduate and international admissions, our Rutgers Business School has separate graduate admissions from what my office covers. So I would absolutely love to connect you with them to see what programs might be of interest to you and what may relate to agricultural economics. Um, I'm sorry it wasn't part of this presentation today because this was more undergraduate focused, but I do see there's a lot of master's questions, which is great news because we do run a specific graduate session monthly that I would be happy to invite anybody to once I have your list of names and contact information. So speaking on that, I know I answered another one of the questions that was was this presentation specific to undergraduate, which yes, it was. But like I mentioned, we do run a graduate specific session monthly that I would be happy to invite you to. And speaking on that again, there's another question about PhD programs. Most of them, yes, are fully funded. And we can speak to that a little bit more during our graduate presentation. We speak a little bit more about which programs specifically are fully funded. And we go into that a little bit more than in a presentation like this, a general overview presentation. So great. I'm glad that there's a lot of you. I see their chats are popping through about wanting to be invited to the graduate sessions, which we can absolutely do. We are happy to do that.
Awesome. So I'm just curious, Michelle, how easy is it for students to double major or to design their own like interdisciplinary major?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So we actually have, I wish my one of my student workers is an international student from Australia, but she usually pops on these sessions with me, and she's able to kind of share her background a little bit. She's a double major. So it is possible for international students to double major. Her specific major is education and English, and she paired those two together to double major. So it absolutely is possible. We would just say my biggest piece of advice for double majoring or kind of creating that interdisciplinary major, like you mentioned, would be to really talk it out with your advisor. Like it would be a little bit more difficult to do something like computer science and criminal justice that are like very, different and kind of unrelated. But if you want to pair something like computer science with, information technology, that may be something that's possible with your advisor when it comes to double majoring. And like I said, it's not impossible. It's definitely possible to do, but I would seek out that advisement with your academic advisor to see how, that path would look. Make sure you're not taking more classes than you have to, seeing what we can pair as an elective to make you graduate in the proper amount of time and not have you extend your time here.
So you mentioned obviously working for the Newark campus,
Hmm.
and with the exception of maybe like size, student size, what makes the Newark campus unique compared to like New
Yeah.
Brunswick or Camden?
Absolutely. I would say the biggest thing is geographic location, as well as size, of course. Like I said, we are your mid-sized campus. I didn't touch on it too much. I think I touched on it at the beginning of the presentation. We are only like 10 miles from New York City. We are a 20-minute public transportation train ride into the heart of Manhattan, New York City. So I think that's one of our biggest differentiators here in Newark is our proximity to those major markets. We know how important that can be when students are seeking out maybe summer internships, or in this case, OPT opportunities, CPT opportunities. We are located in the largest city in the state of New Jersey, and then that key proximity to major markets in New York City, I think also make us an ideal location. New Brunswick is a little bit more remote. That's located in the center of the state. So while you're located in the city of New Brunswick, which is a city in the state of New Jersey as well, you're not going to be as close to those major markets in either New York City or Philadelphia, where Newark and our Camden location is situated.
So speaking about proximity to New York City,
Yeah.
internship, job
Hmm.
opportunities,
Hmm.
see how does the university help students find internships, job
Yeah.
placements, especially maybe in the Newark or New York City area in general?
Yeah, absolutely. So for our international student population, I would of course recommend you connect with our Office of International Students and Scholars as your first step. They are wonderful. They are an excellent resource and they really help you understand what is CPT, what is OPT, what are my extensions, how many months do I receive, what can I do with it, what jobs can I receive, how can I start finding an internship. They are going to be your first step in helping you understand everything. And then we have what we also call our Career Resources and Exploration Center on our campus, which aid students in seeking out those jobs and internships.
Right. So let's see. I think this might be our last question. We have a question here from
Yeah.
Emmanuel Letter who's saying, Good afternoon, ma'am, Michelle. I'm Emmanuel. I'm actually from Angola. So it's good to hear that not only Nigeria is
Yeah.
our session, we have someone from Angola. But I'm
Beautiful.
really interested in Rutgers, application and scholarship, all of those
Mhm.
processes. Are they the same for me? So
Yep.
all the things you mentioned, are they applicable to all international students or is
Yep.
it just specific to Nigerian students?
Nope, nope, not specific to Nigeria. Everything would be applicable for you as well. The only thing that I would want to review would be your eligibility for that waiver of the English proficiency exam. I would just have to double check and just check on your high school, check on the country requirements. But yes, everything else that we discussed in today's presentation is going to be applicable to you as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that question, Emmanuel, and greetings from Nigeria to Angola. So Michelle, what's your last word? What final piece of advice do you have for applicants, and what
Mhm.
type of students should consider looking into Rutgers University?
Absolutely. Yeah, happy to answer that. I would say my final piece of parting advice to everybody would be that we are really a community that's here for you. I put this contact slide at the end because it is so important to know that my office prides ourselves on speaking to students one-on-one and really getting to learn a little bit more about you. So I think my biggest piece of advice is don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions. We would be happy to assist you with anything. Like I mentioned, our Office of International Students and Scholars, I work hand in hand with them with everything, and they are so wonderful as well. They use a Calendly tool where you can book an appointment with them just to start getting some additional information about it, being an international student. We run monthly webinars Currently, we started them in April and we're running them through July for all of our admitted international students, where we do a very in-depth presentation about the I-20 process, securing your visa, going over orientation, going over how to prepare for a visa interview. So I think my biggest parting advice is that we are truly a campus that is here for you, and we really want to see you succeed from start to finish. So don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions to any of the contacts on our screen. Somebody from my office will absolutely be in touch with you. And I would say anybody who's looking for a sense of community, anybody who is looking to come over to the United States and feel like they're part of a big system, but in a small, close-knit community, getting that quality education, but again, learning in that smaller environment and classroom setting, I would absolutely recommend, again, reaching out to my office and we can talk you through anything that you have questions on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. And then my final word would
Yeah,
be please follow Rutgers Newark on social media.
please do. Yes.
Instagram, Twitter, now
Yes.
X, Instagram, their YouTube page, and then don't
Mhm.
forget to take the campus, the virtual tour as well.
Yes.
To give you a good sense of the university and whether you
Yes.
can imagine yourself fitting into that environment or that institution.
Absolutely.
So once again, just want to say a big thank you to you, Michelle, for your
Yeah.
flexibility last minute and being able to
Yes.
do today's session still. You will definitely be getting a list of students who attended and participated
Amazing.
today, and all those who registered saying that they were graduate students would hopefully
Perfect.
get the invitation to the graduate session.
Absolutely. Yes.
Awesome. So thank you so
All right.
much. It's morning for you, but it's afternoon for
Yes.
us. Enjoy the rest of your day. And for you starting out, I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. It was great, great chatting with you, and I'll be in touch.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.